In the spirit and the tradition of my family, you start the day by saying muy buenos dias. Good morning, everybody. Cannot, I cannot state how humbled I am when I'm invited to share concepts and ideas that I've learned from other people. This is my first trip to Iowa. Like Laura mentioned, we seem to fly over. And so I'm very grateful to the Iowa campaign and Christy and her team, Sally and Mary, who has a very, I've been watching Mary this morning, making sure everything gets done as close to on time. And I know that she's launching and going off in her own way. And I can see why there's a lot of success, is because she keeps pushing gently but firmly to make sure everything happens. And I experienced that from her as well. And then Deb, Madison, Levi, and Karen Gluck, who I had dinner with. There was a few other people like Laura and Miriam and Rachel and Jill yesterday who reminded me and resonated with earlier's presentation about rights having no borders, and how that concept is something that I believe that we need to remember. And Jill and Jody and Alba, these were people that made dinner really pleasant and enjoyable last night. When I travel, one of the things that I don't mind working during the day when I travel. It's fun, it's engaging, there's a lot to learn and share. But it's the evening when I'm away from the family, from Lucy, my wife, who has to pick up the slack because I'm not there, to Sofia and Diego, who get caught out of their routine because their father isn't there. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for everybody here in Iowa that contributed to me being here. And I'm grateful for the people that remain at home that make everything happen while their father and their spouse is away. I'm here today to talk. I'm going to bore you 2 times. First talking about engaging Latino families. And if you notice the word, it's engaging. It's not working with. It's engaging. And then the other one will be engaging young men and Latino men in the concept. But it's important for me to share with you that when I speak of working and engaging the Latino community, I don't see that community as being other, okay? I am a Latino. I am a male. I come from a family whose parents immigrated from Mexico. They came and they started their family here. My father came first. He lived here and worked here for a period of time, returned to Mexico, married my mother. Then they both came to the United States at a time when crossing the border was not as difficult as it is right now. And as my mother said, I never knew what it was like to be undocumented because of what your father did to make it happen so that I crossed the border legally. And so even she can't fathom the stress that many families encounter right now when they attempt to be together. So I don't speak of Latino families as being the other. I can't. I cannot do that. The other part of it is up until 2 days ago, 12 years, I was associated as a senior research associate at the Bixby Center for Global Reproductive Health at the University of California, San Francisco. And it is and remains a wonderful association. However, the state circumstances right now in California has put the contract that funded our efforts and my position on hiatus for the last 12 months. And then finally, Claire was unable to float my position, even though I was doing many things. It just got unbearable and untenable. Claire is a woman that I hold in the highest regard. She is a person that gives life and meaning to research when you're working at the community level. So I have learned, and I hope I will continue to learn a great deal from her perspective in everything that happens. I'm going to be talking about 4 concepts, and I'm going to share 3 right now, and I'm going to tell you what they are, because sometimes people after the presentation say, I don't know what you meant by this. The first word that I'm going to share, and I'm going to repeat constantly, is called conocimiento. And conocimiento simply means to get to know one another. But it's not a hi, how are you doing type of conocimiento. It's really getting to know one another. And that's important because I don't want you to walk away thinking that the conocimiento happens in one interaction. It is a process that happens when you're going to work with the Latino community and whatnot. These are the things that I'm going to be addressing, and I'm going to end early. I'm going to skip a few slides if it goes slow, because there's an exercise that I think is important for all of us to partake in together, to give you a sense of how challenging sometimes, why we encounter sometimes challenges in engaging families like my own, parents like my own, uncles and aunts like my own, grandchildren like my mother's grandchildren, and also nieces and nephews. This is what normally we get to know each other. Conocimiento that most of us are familiar with is who I am professionally, what do I do, where do I work, and oftentimes we can cite, what our organizational mission, goals, and values are, because we invest so much time in those things in our organizations. This is the conocimiento that I think I want to dispel when you engage the Latino community. Although you know it, perhaps like the back of your hand, engaging the Latino community will mean something a little bit more. We oftentimes put a lot of emphasis in what is our logic model for change, how you came to work in your organization, and who your organization serves. Also, put that on the back burner today. What I'm talking about is the real conocimiento. That is, who are you? Why did you choose the work that you do? Who or what influenced that choice? What is your personal mission? What are your personal values? What are your personal goals? And what change do you hope to bring about? In an effort of full disclosure, I need to tell you that there are certain core elements of who I am that are unwavering and guide everything that I do. And I like to share those with people so that you have a sense of where to put me in that logic of why Hector thinks that. First of all, at my core, I was taught that people are inherently good. You cannot approach me with an intervention. You cannot approach me with a strategy. You cannot approach me with a goal that goes opposite to that core value that I have. Now, if you share that core value with me, then we have the entry point for engagement that solutions will look in a certain way, and they will probably be more asset-based. They will likely be not deficit-based, although you recognize that. But those are my core values that guide me in everything that I do. I have met people who have challenged that core value. And sometimes I remain, it wavers a bit. But at the end of the day, I come back to my core value that I do believe people are inherently good. And from that comes many other things. And I have had the pleasure and honor of meeting people who have demonstrated time and time again that even though their history points to having done really awful and damaging things to their loved ones and their community, they have found redemption in service to their community, and I'm humbled because of that growth that they've exhibited. By extension, these are important. What is your core belief about people? What is your personal logic model? What is your personal theory of change? Because how you have this framed will tell you whether or not you're able to engage the Latino community in a fruitful and rich way. Because they will want to know this about you. And what you may not realize is that even if you don't serve the Latino community, they know your jacket. So when you walk in, if you are working in the community already, and even though you haven't interacted with a family, but you have interacted with families on the periphery, you walk in thinking that this is your first instant working with this family, but they may know something about you already. And the question is, what is it that they're going to know and know about what you think of them?